Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter, and it is Wednesday, folks. The weekend is almost here. We're halfway there. We got Andrew in the house, Annie Yang, Gala MY, and let me see, Laura Staniva, people joining us in the chat. If you're watching it on YouTube, come on over and join us on Behance, because that's where you do it. That's where the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge takes place. We are over here at behance.net/challenge/XD. Hit that big blue button to participate, watch the videos, get the files, and you do that by scrolling down and seeing all of these 9 challenges. And today's unlock challenge is to build an art gallery. So you can watch the video here. If you're watching this on replay, you've probably already done that, maybe. But you can definitely get the starting file there as well. And when you open the starting file, just like Cornell and Dima and Laura and Gal and Umacorn, you're going to be able to jump right over to that starting file here in Adobe XD, and you'll be able to get some assets. So let's jump over and see our starting kind of prompt for today's challenge. Challenge number 7, design a horizontal gallery browsing experience, like a digital art gallery where we can horizontally slide or swipe back and forth. It's going to have kind of a parallax effect. We're going to do it the easy way and then the more interesting parallax way. And then we'll also use big, bold typography, video, and some hover effects as well. You have some inspiration down there, some resources in the booklet that's built out of components and component instances, or component states, excuse me. And we have this nice big 13 by 36 artboard here. And why 13 by 36? Because it's kind of close to the standard kind of browser size, or closer. 19 by 20 by 1080, that's for movies, right? This is what we're doing here. Art gallery. We're going to name our artboard, and we are ready to get started. It's a really kind of a boring looking layout so far, but we're going to add some spice to it here in a second. On my desktop, just so you know, not provided in the file, go find your own, is a couple of images of some cool modern art. I just pulled them right off the web, but I couldn't give them to you, probably because of copyright issues. I also have a couple of small surprises. I have some animated texture here, which is kind of cool. And I also have like a little snippet of like a modern art documentary we might try to use as well. So we got some video, we got some images, we got some assets. But first things first, we have this kind of very basic artboard in front of us inside of XD. I think the first thing I'm going to do is attack the big text like idea that we have. So I'm thinking what we'll do here is we'll probably grab some of this, group them together, and be able to add some details, and each one of these will be like a painting, and we'll be able to browse through here like so. So something like that. We'll get to that here in a second, but first I'm going to grab my text, and we're using, let me see, the pairing of Playfair display, and also we're using a little pop-ins. So we have a little serif and sans serif font in our project today. But let's start with, Montserrat, not Poppins. So we're going to start with Montserrat. Let's go black, like big, bold, like typography. And what we're going to do here is probably just pop the word Studio Brightside New York City in, but we don't want this. We want to make it a little bit more interesting. Let's put an outline on that thing. I like that a lot. Let's drop it down to a little bit more of an off black. And then what we're going to do is just go really big, right? And you know, when we're playing with things like art galleries, we have a little bit more like freedom to explore and be a little bit more interesting. You can break the mold. You can get out of that kind of standard thing that you do over and over and over. We're gonna do something a little bit different today, okay? So that's kind of cool. We could add something else to it if we want to. Maybe what we'll do is, just for the heck of it, we'll add kind of a cool kind of bottom anchored box here. Let's make it a similar off black. We're using off black, not pure black. Let's pop that into our color palette and drag these other colors out, because we're not going to use those. And we'll just kind of center this text here in between where our images are going to go and where the rest of the stuff is going to go. All right, so it would be really cool is to have like a dark and a light version of this, but we won't mess with that for now. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see. And I think I lost my screen there for a second. Don't know why. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties at hand. We will survive. We'll soldier on. I'm just going to make sure everything's lined up using my alignment tools. And then I'm going to throw it in a group and turn on a stack, just in case I want to update these later on and maybe swap them around. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when you use stacks inside of Adobe XD, I now have these elements and they're grouped together. Ooh, excuse me, let me go back over to the other side. And my stack, when I grab this layer up here called text, you can see that my stack is on for this text, right? And that means I can put it into a horizontal stack or a vertical stack, and I can affect the spacing of the elements inside here with just the inspector panel. Now, what I can also do is if I want to switch something later on, let's say we don't want for some reason, we want the headline to be down below, we can grab the headline or one of these elements and it's going to stay perfectly spaced 14 pixels inside that stack, which is kind of cool. Hey, quick note, some fun typography playfulness. We have our Studio Brightside, our little kind of sub headline, our eyebrow, some people might call it, set up at 22, and it is actually I'm doing some character spacing here, 100 pixels, and I'm doing all caps. So have some fun, play with the text options down here. This play fair display, we are bringing it back in, and let's even talk about going a little bit negative on the character spacing. That's how far away the characters are spaced from each other, and that looks kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. Let's give it just a little bit more contrast here. I'm going to shrink this down and just make sure that everything is lined up on the left-hand side. Good, I like that a little bit better. And let's go down to 8 pixels. Now there's a little bit more contrast between those two pieces of typography. When you're doing typography heavy things, contrast is everything, okay? Love the animation of image stack in the Mac OS when it expands. That is pretty cool. We're gonna do something a little bit similar today. So why don't we start grabbing some art right now? I'm gonna grab a cool piece of modern art. I'm gonna drag it right in here. And what I wanna do is I wanna create a hoverable, that was a hard word for me to say. First, this line height is killing me, so I'm just going to control that a little bit. And then I'm going to do something that I kind of did earlier, which is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to shrink the whole thing down like so, okay? And you guessed it, I'm going to use Command and the brackets to swap it in the stack there. And let's play with spacing for our art. We'll bring this whole thing down. Doesn't that look kind of cool? Like almost like an art magazine. Cool. So we're not going to change the text inside. We don't want to play with copywriting right now, but this would be like the artist's name right in here. It's very small. It's like 6. We're definitely going to bring that up just for usability. Let's go up to at least a 9, and let's have this one be like 18, something like that. Okay, so we have kind of this cool look here, this cool vibe for each of our pieces of art, but I also want to have a hover effect, and because it's again an art gallery, we can have some fun. So what I'm kind of thinking is, why don't I take my art panel here that says in my layers panel, I'm going to copy and paste another one, but this one I'm just going to fill with our off black color. I'm thinking that we want some sort of call to action, but I want to see this thing kind of kick out and go opaque and kind of break the plane like this. That's what I'm thinking, like something like 85 opacity there. And then why don't we grab another, we have our outline text. Let's lock this one down below so we don't mess with it. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, and let's move this up. Good. I'm liking it. Okay, and let's put the word see more on it like that. Okay, and we'll shrink it down. Very cool. All right, and let's change the border to be white. And very nice. I like it. We're going to shrink it down a little bit more, and we're going to increase the size of the border so it's a little bit chunkier, from 1 to 2. And there we go. Beautiful. We're going to make sure that this whole thing is lined up in the center. And let's see artwork. That's a little bit more refined, isn't it? I like that. And the cool thing would be, maybe if we could get it over a little bit more, we could get it to hang off and be real asymmetrical, like on purpose. Like maybe it doesn't have to be so perfect. We're breaking rules today, right? Let's go, folks. All right, I'm gonna group that together. That's my hover panel. Okay, and then what I have to do is I have to kind of bring it there like so, and bring the opacity of it down. Now you have you should have your art panel and your hover panel. We're going to group those together, right? And then we're going to make a component out of it. So let's go art piece, okay? Something like that. And Command K will turn it into a component. Let's immediately create our component state. So it's going to be a hover state. Beautiful. I love that. We can go inside and grab our hover panel and bring the opacity of it up and bring it down like so. And then we can go to prototype, and you can see when you create something with like a hover state, it immediately wires it up, but it only wires it up on one side, right? While hovering, do this. While not hovering, go back to where you came from, basically, right? See how it's wired up in one and not the other, but we can still affect all of the interaction stuff. So we want to auto animate. We want to do maybe snap. Let's try it and let's see what it looks like. I'm probably not going to be into it, but let's try it really quickly. We hover over it. It's kind of snappy, and I think maybe our overlay goes off canvas just a little too much. And we could add even a little bit more spiciness to it, couldn't we? If we come in here really quickly, and why don't we'll move this even further like that. And let's get into our panel here. Oh, excuse me, we're going to go the other way with it. It gotta be right there. Good, beautiful. And then let's go back to our default state and find this. Let's move the words outside there just a little bit, okay? So with that being said, let's try it one more time. And now the words even have a little bit of movement as well. I know you're like, if you're really into symmetry, it's hurting your heart right now that text is not centered in the box. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it to experiment with a little asymmetrical playfulness. That's what's gonna happen. I don't like the bounce. I can tell you that straight up. I'm not a fan of the bounce, or the snappiness. So we're just gonna go ease in. Let's try ease in. Beautiful. Oh, I don't like that either. So we're just gonna go, woo, let's go back, maybe ease in, out. We want it on both sides. That's a little bit nicer, okay? All right, we like it. I like it a lot. So what we're gonna do now is go back to design, and we're going to group those things together. This is gonna be called our art piece lockup inside there. And now we can just do another version of it right there, and do another version of it right there. Now the cool thing is we can group these together if we want to, and we can just use our distribute tools. You could repeat grid if you want to, right? If that's how you want to roll, you could totally do that. But this works for me, and because we're grouping them together, we can lead multiple of them off canvas, and they don't fall off the edge of the world, so to speak, right? Okay, with that being said, why don't we come into our next one and just add a little bit more artwork. Okay, so let's come into this one. I don't want to do all pop art. I want to do some different stuff here. The only hard part about this can be sometimes when you get your art panel and it's like, there's something over it, right? You got to be very careful where you drop. Like for instance, if I drop up here, that's not going to work for us, right? So we need to get inside of that and drop it. It doesn't work. That's okay. Okay, I wish I could drop onto here. That would be the best thing ever. But we can always, we do need a way to fix that. Okay, so we'll fix that in a minute. But right now, we have the ability to hover over some things. I tell you what would really spice this thing up a little bit, and actually maybe what I need to do is, how do I do it? Okay, I'm gonna go into my master. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, you have your hover here. I'm gonna move it out of the way. It should now have moved out of the way on all of them, and I should be able to access the art panel. I sure can. Okay, so that's one way. You just got to change it once on the master and do a little bit of work there. It's like a lot of Marilyn Monroe. I wasn't trying to look for a lot of Marilyn Monroe. Let's replace one of those. Let's just get a cool avocado in there. Okay, now what we can do is go back in and find our hover, right, which should be somewhere around there, our hover panel, and let's bring it back up into place. Beautiful. Okay, let's press play one more time and see where we're at right now. Good. Okay, now we'd have to go in and change all the hovers, like on all the different states for each one of these. So we could definitely do that, but let's leave it for now. And then let's add a little bit of cool stuff in the background. I'm thinking let's just take a rectangle, draw a rectangle over the whole thing. Okay, almost the whole thing, like this. And then let's bring it, actually let's keep it to the front right now because we learned our lesson about dragging things. We're gonna grab our texture and we're gonna drag our texture onto that rectangle that we made. Let's take the border off of it, and it immediately masks the video for us, right? So you can see we have that texture in there. And when we do that, we get our little video symbol, And you can see we have some now we have some video options. So we want to play automatically. Let's get a few more options. We want to loop playback, and we like it just how it is. But what we're going to do is move it to the very back and bring the opacity of it down. It's very subtle, or at least we hope it will be, but we get a little bit of like a cool like flickering a little bit of a cool flickering like effect there, which is kind of fun, right? Okay, rad. Now, there's two ways you could do our horizontal scrolling, and one of those is just to throw things into a scroll group, right? We could make sure that we group this whole thing together like this, toss it into a scroll group, make sure that this is all the way over to the side, and look, now you have moving backgrounds. You can hover over things, but you can also scroll and see all the artwork, which is, it's nice, but it would maybe be a little bit nicer, I think, if we undo everything we just did. Okay, except for our texture. We liked our texture about 25%. We liked that, and I think it would be kind of cool to make sure that our art is on the topmost layer, and then let's do a drag gesture and do a little bit of parallax motion in between our artboards, right? So we have artboard 1, artboard 2. I want to drag this thing over and at a much faster speed. Let's unlock our Studio Brightside here, and we're going to move this all the way over to the end of NYC, right? Okay, let's make sure we unlock this one so we have similar things. And now it should hover over it, and when we do that, last thing we want to do is probably just bring the opacity of that original title down so it's not like distracting, right? Okay, cool. I lost my screen there for a second. Sorry, it's coming back. Here we are. And now all we have to do is go into prototype and grab here, and let's just get a little bit of space here. Let's get a little bit of space. I'll go like that. Anywhere on this big group that we have, if we drag, right? So let's do a drag gesture, and we'll say auto animate. Easing, none. We don't want any easing, and the whole thing will move. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll just drag it right back. Let's see what we get as we press play here. All right, cool. So you can see we get a little bit of that fun like revolving texture in the background. We can hover over things to see the artwork, but we can also hopefully grab, and we're getting a little bit of that parallax style there. Kind of fun. Now, another thing we can do is, instead of doing it this way, right, we could just drag, obviously. We created our drag gesture. We could have created a game trigger and keypad like version of this as well, where okay, let's do the same thing. We'll bring the opacity of that down, and we will, I don't know, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boy, that's taking way too long. Let's just bring the other piece over into the center and move that a little bit more, okay? Then we could do the same thing. Whoa, just holding down Option, dragging out a new version. Let's make this one more of center stage, bring it a little bit more, make this one a little bit more center stage, and drag it a little bit more, all right? So now you're getting like just kind of moving over piece by piece, and you might be thinking, well, what do I do? Oh, how do I prototype that? Well, I just head over to prototype. I grab the entire artboard itself. I drag over and I say keys and gamepad. And now I just have to assign a key. So I'm going to assign the right key. It's got to auto animate. Let's do a little bit of easing this time. Ease in and out. And let's make it last a little bit longer. Maybe something like 0.8 seconds. Okay. And now, because we've used that prototype interaction and trigger type already, we can just keep doing it over, boom, and go back, beautiful, and over, boom, and goes that way. And we can do this one back the other way as well, bingo, like that, and make it go left. And let's just try it and see what it looks like. All right, so again, you can always drag the whole thing over and get this cool kind of parallax effect. Again, as we transition in between artboards, Adobe XD is smart enough to continuously play that looping video for us, which is kind of nice, all right? Or using my finger on the keypad, I can just press to the right, and we get a nice slide over. Let's do another one. Beautiful. Maybe one more. I love it. And we can head back, and we can just round and round we go, right? So from here, all you really have to do is go through and update each one of those component states. Tracking with me? So we can come in here to our component and move over to the hover, and we just got to make sure we find the right art. I believe it was this one, and we just pop that in. Okay, and then we can just come back up and make sure we turn it off to our default state. Now we're replacing all of our artwork, or we would at least, right? Press play. Now when you hover over it, you get the same thing in the background. Super duper nice. Again, key and gamepad or trigger or whatever you call that, super nice. But you can also do just the parallax drag effect, which is pretty cool. And that is the challenge for the day. Use a little bit of looping video, create some fun hover animations, play around with it, and challenge yourself to go a little asymmetrical and be a little bit bold with typography. And if you've never done that, have some fun. Be a little bit playful today. It's okay if tomorrow when you submit your work, it looks like super engaging, super interesting, and you're outside your comfort zone. That's what we want. Speaking of work that's submitted that might be outside of your comfort zone, let's head over to the Discord and let's look at some submissions from yesterday. This one is from Arif Hossan. This was our wine rating experience that we had a lot of fun with yesterday. So let's open up the working prototype. All right, and we got a little bit of a drag gesture. It's coming in and out very well. I like that. I'm kind of stuck. Woo, there it goes. It kind of swings in, and he put something in there that I did not, which is a back button. Holy cow, that makes perfect sense. We should have a back button, right? Okay, so from here, able to rate the wine. Love it. Let's get it in there. I like that wine glass. It's a little shiny. Let's do, ooh, how many stars? 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. Does it pour another one out if I keep going? Boy, that would be funny if it did. Okay, cool. Hey, that's a great, oh, what do we do if we click on the star? It goes away. Interesting. Okay, well, hey, there's some serious fun being had with that one. And it's really about creating a seamless experience. But I think, again, you did a great job. Maybe a little bit of alignment and centering things. But really, you could have had all the fun in the world with that one because it's about a fun interaction. This one is from Ilham Anura, and they're in the chat, I believe. Thanks for being here today, as well as Ruth W. and Roxanne Bay and Gal Mai and all the folks. Chris Olson in the chat today. This one's really nicely laid out. I love this Behance portfolio piece. The color's really, really nice. It's very, very like modern, very chill, very elegant, I would say, in its design. So I love that and like everything. Oh, I like, using the emoji. That's good. Also, this layout is really elegant as well. I'd love to see the prototype of this, see how it all came together. All right. So we're able to swipe in between the two. Love that. Let's go with the white wine, or maybe we're just going to rate. Yeah, probably just going to rate. Woo, I'm getting a little weird drag trigger issue here. And I see you got to click on the bottom there. We're getting cut off a little bit. That's okay. The information details really, really nice. I like laying kind of making the typography a little bit subtle back there. And you're leaving lots of room for most likely kind of native controls that you would have to have. Let's rate this wine and see what happens. Oh, just got that emoji style. Let's go. Love this wine. Oh, we're using some Lottie animation, and we get that confirmation again. It's so smooth, so sleek. It's nice. You don't need all that fancy schmancy stuff. Sometimes you just pop it in like this. It's pretty good. All right. We like that. That was a beautiful implementation. I didn't even think to use the Lottie animation there. That would have been amazing, but great job. This is Yuya Yang with us again for another amazing portfolio piece. Oh, let's click on the interactive prototype. Oh, I liked that. How'd you do that 3D transition? That was fun. Uh-oh. Go back. What happened? I don't know. I did something. I messed something up. I like that transition. It looks like the bottle's rotating with the label, but it's not. It's moving, and the mask, I think, stayed and kind of moved the label around a little bit, which is kind of cool. So that's a fun interaction. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, kind of a Google-esque wipe. A little bit of a wipe transition there. Rating the wine. It moves up. Let's click on 5 stars. Drop them stars in, just like the one I did yesterday. Love it. Beautifully done. We have time for a few more. Let's look inside here. This one is from Theo CFI. I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry, friend. But this is our multi-panel space exploration with some animated, with embedded video inside of it. Looks really, really good. Love the glass texture that you made there for these. These are really good. I like how it kind of comes right up and goes back. So that's really, really nice. Very spacey. That little motion, that little micro interaction that happened there was very, very nice. Let's see. Ooh, this is another streaming application, and we are almost done for the day. Let's click into this one. Oh, first, who was it by? It was by Lauren Stanton, who's always faithfully doing these challenges, and you can tell that she's doing these challenges because she is, her skill set is growing like lightning, like so fast, right? So let's get in here and tap this to play our prototype. Ooh, yep. Beautiful use of the video. What's a better use of video than food? Makes my mouth water, makes me hungry for lunch, dinner, breakfast, and second dinners and second breakfast because I'm a hobbit. All right. I love it. Really, really nice. Beautiful work. I like the dark theme. Beautiful, like good usage of dark. A lot of people have trouble doing dark themes. I think you did a very nice job here, Laura. And that is it for the day, folks. Thanks so much for joining me here. I'm Jesse Showalter, your host of this week and last week's Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. Having a ton of fun, and I cannot wait to see your submissions for today's challenge. So make sure you join that Discord. If you're going to post your stuff on Behance, make sure that you use the hashtag XD Daily Challenge. Makes it easier for us to find as hosts and mentors and moderators. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you same place, same time tomorrow for the XD Daily Challenge. See you then.